Welcome to the Wellness Lab Digest, where we help you to absorb powerful, life-changing insights from top wellness experts with our daily bite-sized wellness podcast summaries. Each episode is packed with distilled, powerful takeaways to boost your health and well-being. To support this podcast, please scroll down on whatever app you're listening. Ratings and reviews are helpful. Even better, just send the show to a friend. Check out our sponsors at the bottom of the page, or simply click the Support the Show link below the episode description.
Generosity, a key to happiness? Well, not quite. Today we're discussing how giving may actually be more beneficial for the giver than the receiver.
Oh, that's an interesting perspective. What makes you say that?
Well, it's based on some fascinating research from behavioral scientists. You see, there's this concept called undersociality that suggests we might not be social enough for our own well-being. We often underestimate the positive impact our acts of kindness can have on others, and more importantly, on ourselves.
I can see how that might be true. Do you have any specific examples of this?
Absolutely. Take the case of the Happiness Lab podcast listeners who donated to help an entire village in Rwanda called Kabobo. Through Give Directly, they provided cash transfers of over $1,000 to each household in a community where people were living on less than $1 a day. The impact was enormous, but what's really interesting is how it affected the givers.
Wow, that's a significant amount. How did it affect the donors?
Well, that's the thing. Many of them probably underestimated how good it would make them feel. Nick Epley, a professor of behavioral science, explains that acts of kindness satisfy our needs for relatedness, competency, and autonomy. It's like a triple win for our psychological well-being.
That's fascinating. So it's not just about helping others, but also about fulfilling our own needs?
Exactly. And here's where it gets really interesting. Nick shared a personal story about when his daughter was diagnosed with ovarian cancer. He reached out to Laurie Santos, the host of the Happiness Lab podcast, for support. Laurie sent t-shirts, mugs, and even had a live audience give a shout-out to Nick's daughter.
Oh, that's so thoughtful. I bet that meant a lot to them during such a difficult time.
You're right, it did. But here's the kicker. Even months later, Nick's family was still talking about how much it meant to them. And Laurie, she had no idea her actions had such a lasting impact. It's a perfect example of how we underestimate the power of our kindness.
That really drives home the point about undersociality. But I'm curious, are there other barriers that stop us from being kind more often?
Oh, absolutely. Time is a big one. We often feel like we don't have enough time to do kind things for others, but Nick suggests 2 strategies to overcome this. First, start looking for affordances, opportunities for kindness that are already present in your day-to-day life. Like, complimenting someone's outfit on your commute.
That makes sense. It's about being more aware of the opportunities around us. What's the second strategy?
The second is to stop associating the positive impact of kindness with how much effort you put in. Sometimes just getting it done is what matters. Nick gave an example of sending a gift through Amazon to a friend who just had a baby. It might not be as personal as hand-delivering a wrapped gift, but it still shows you care.
That's a helpful perspective. It takes some of the pressure off and makes kindness more accessible. But are there ways to be kind that don't involve money at all?
Absolutely. Nick talks about psychological acts of kindness, like expressing gratitude or giving compliments. These don't cost anything, but can have a huge impact. The interesting thing is, we're often reluctant to do these things because we think they might be awkward or not well received.
But I'm guessing research shows that's not the case.
You've got it. Studies show that people consistently underestimate how positively others will respond to expressions of gratitude or compliments. Nick does an exercise with his MBA students where they write gratitude letters, and every year he's surprised by how powerful the responses are.
That's fascinating. It seems like there's a real disconnect between how we think people will react to kindness and how they actually do. But what about asking for help? Is that a form of kindness too?
Interestingly, yes. Nick suggests that asking for help can actually be an act of kindness because it gives others the opportunity to feel good by helping. He's even started to think of it as an act of selfishness if we don't ask for help when we need it, because we're depriving others of that good feeling.
That's a real perspective shift. It turns the whole idea of asking for help on its head. So, how can people start incorporating more kindness into their daily lives?
Well, the key is to make it a habit. Nick emphasizes that it doesn't have to be big gestures. Small, frequent acts of kindness can have a huge, cumulative impact on happiness. It's like a leaky tire. You need to keep pumping it up regularly. So, look for those small opportunities in your daily life. A compliment here, a kind word there. It all adds up.
That's a great analogy. It makes the whole idea of being consistently kind seem much more achievable. As we wrap up, what do you think is the biggest takeaway from all of this?
I think the key message is that kindness and generosity have a much bigger impact than we realize, both on others and on ourselves. We tend to underestimate how much our acts of kindness will be appreciated and how good they'll make us feel. So don't hold back. Whether it's donating to a cause you care about, complimenting a stranger, or reaching out to a friend in need, every act of kindness, no matter how small, can make a real difference.
That's beautiful. It really puts things in perspective and makes me want to go out and do something kind right now.
Well, that's exactly what we're hoping for. And remember, kindness is something we can all practice every day. So let's take what we've learned and try to make the world a little bit brighter, one act of kindness at a time. Until next time, keep spreading that kindness.
Thank you for listening to the Wellness Lab Digest. If you have received value from the podcast, I have 3 asks of you. 1, share the show with your friends and send them a link to the show. 2, please leave a rating and review in whatever app you're listening. And last but not least, please let me know what topics you would like us to cover in the future. You can contact me by sending me a message using the Send Us a Text link below the episode description.